this is Sino here, and I'm playing Warframe. Great game, by the way. I played this game 2 years ago, around the time when, I don't know, like a long time before there was a huge overhaul. Rehaul? Really? What the hell is this? Recall? Total Recall, good movie, by the way. Anyway, I played this game around the time it came out on the home console, specifically PS4 and Xbox One. I have, so, let me give you a rundown. This is a Warframe. Think of it as a suit you wear that gives different abilities depending on which Warframe you obtain. This one specifically is a variant of its original one, known as Necros. This is Necros Prime, a much tougher, more stat-increased version of its original self. Now, each Warframe has 4 sets of abilities. This one specifically has Soul Punch, Terrify, Desecrate, and Shadows of the Dead. Basically, when you first start your Warframe, when I start your Warframe, when you get a Warframe starts off at rank, well, not even rank 1, unranked. Now, to bring up its rank, all you have to do is basically do missions, kill enemies, and get affinity. Simple as that. It's like experience. Now, when you get the affinity of a Warframe up, you can basically unlock more of its abilities or upgrade current ones. For example, my first ability, Soul Punch. Basically, when I use this ability, in a way I punch the enemy and literally send out like a projectile from their back. And the projectile lightning speed, so if it's down a hallway, he's behind the enemy. However, he doesn't bounce off walls. Terrify scares enemies around Necros. And when it's upgraded, this can increase how long they remain terrified. Right now, due to an upgrade right now I have on, they'll be terrified for 26 seconds. And I can scare up to 19 enemies at once. That's a lot. Desecrate is an interesting ability. This allows me to increase the amount of loot enemies drop. However, right now they can only drop 32%, but in its next rank they'll drop 45. Well, 42.5. And then every Warframe has an ultimate ability. For Necros, it's Shadows of the Dead. When I kill an enemy, when I kill 5 enemies currently, I can resurrect them as like shadows to fight for me. And they have damage boost, health boost, and shield boost. However, they lose health over time, and currently there isn't a way to restore that. Necros has a passive ability due to him being a Reaper. Every Warframe has a passive. For Necros, he restores a small amount of health with every nearby enemy death, meaning the more enemies that die, the more Necros heals up. Simple as that. And as for weapons, yes, there's a bunch of weapons. This is a damn shooter. What do you expect? There is your primary, your secondary, and your melee weapon. Now currently, these are weapons I'm just ranking up. These aren't my actual main weapons. But since these are here, I'll explain each one. Penta is a grenade launcher, can bounce off walls, or if you have a certain mod, I'll explain that later, it will stick to enemies, and you detonate it. Kraken is just a very accurate burst pistol. And the Pangolin sword is just just a sword. Simple as that. Now, there are a wide variety of weapons. Not even even in just one category, there's a large amount. There's a whole bunch of secondary weapons, which you can either buy with normal, either buy with credit, primary currency. Sometimes, this is usually the case only if you previously owned this weapon, or you buy with platinum, which is your premium currency. Now, the game is, as you feared, a grind. However, each time you earn a weapon, it's well worth it. For example, a weapon obtained that is a melee weapon that definitely took a long time to make was my Fragor Prime. This is a prime melee weapon, specifically a prime hammer. This isn't his actual color though. This is a powerful weapon with the built-in element I put into it. The element, viral. Now, this is a mod screen, or specifically upgrades. When you to upgrade a weapon, you have to give it a mod. Let me see if I can. Now, the top space up here is for stance mods. I currently have one, however, it isn't for this. However, it can boost the mod capacity for how much mods you can put in. But if you get the right one, this can boost the amount of mods you can put in dramatically. Now, there are mod rarities such as like bronze, which is the lowest common, very common. Then you got silver, which is uncommon / rare, and then you got gold, which is rare, basically. Like virulent, scorch, and vicious frost. Frost is obviously cold damage, just can slow down an enemy's scourge, is toxin, poisons. If you mix these together, you get viral. Pretty dangerous, actually. Very good against like flesh. However, my favorite element to do this, which I'm actually about to equip, involves volcanic edge, which is fire. And I don't know why I got rid of frost. And then frost, of course. This, wait, I want to select. Huh, that's weird. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Ah, there we go. Don't know why that happened. And frost, of course. It's blast. This is my favorite element to use. What blast does is that it has a chance of blowing enemies back. Basically, it's a knockback element, and it works well with the hammer. Now, as I said before, there are different mods for different weapons. There are mods specifically for pistols, mods for shotguns, and there's mods specific for a certain weapon too. Like more specific than that. Like for example, like if there's a mod for the Kraken, or if there's a mod for the Fragor. And I'll show you an example of this. One of my favorite weapons to use is my bow. Well, not a literal bow and arrow. I mean, it's a bow staff. Now, I have a mod for it. This is a Riven mod. These are rare. And when you get a Riven mod, how this works is that a Riven mod, when you get this mod, it can have a good variety of effects, very powerful effects actually. However, this is dependent on Riven disposition, or just call it the Riven dots. Now, these right here is the Riven disposition. Depending on how well used across online, how well used a weapon is, depends on its disposition. The more disposition it has, the better the stats. But the more common a weapon used is, the less beneficial the stats are. For this one, Bow Creta Ixiata, it has 92.7% critical chance, 149.9 melee damage, 121.2 finisher damage. This makes it a very powerful staff. However, mods also can have a negative. For this one, it does 33%, which is alright for a defect. Overall, the benefits outweigh the problem here. That means if I fight the infest, I'm going to do less damage with the staff, which is natural. The staff is an impact weapon. Depending on enemies, there are 3 basic types of damage: impact, puncher, and right here would be slash if this was a bladed weapon. Now, impact is very effective against enemies with armor and robots. Puncture is very good against enemies with certain types of armor, like the main faction enemy of the game, known as the Grenier. And then slash is very good against flesh, such as the infested, which is think of them as the flood of Halo. Flood from Halo, not the flood of Halo. Flood is Halo. Halo life. Anyway, let me just go back to my weapon. Oh, this is a glaive. Pretty interesting weapon. But the reason I want to show you this is this is a throwing weapon. A throwing melee weapon. Basically, the same button you use to use a melee attack. If you hold it, you'll throw the weapon. Now, this weapon doesn't have a lot of punch through, but I can give it a mod that gives it punch through, such as this, power throw. I can upgrade this to make it so that the weapon goes right through the enemy much more efficiently. The reason I showed you this mod is because it also has a skin. Now, of course, you can get skins for different weapons, such as this one here, called the Glaive Proto skin. And then you got the Glaive Obsidian skin. Pretty interesting. This is what a Glaive naturally looks like. Pretty cool. And then you got the Glaive Obsidian. So yeah, there's skins for certain weapons. And let's get to my Warframes. I don't have a lot of Warframes because I had to frequent breaks with this game. But my first Warframe was my Volt. This is my first Warframe. Volt is one of the 3 basic Warframes. At the time, Volt was actually not a new Warframe, but rather like new to the starting roster. Originally, it was the Warframe Excalibur, Mag, and Loki. I'll explain them later. However, Volt replaced Loki because Loki is a very overpowered and broken character due to his speed and his stats overall. He actually is the most broken Warframe in the game, especially his Prime. His Prime is the most broken and probably the most valuable Warframe, besides Excalibur Prime. However, Excalibur Prime is unable to be obtained at this moment due to him being only available to founders of the game. That means those who basically played the game before the game officially came out. So, this is Voldan Prime. Easily one of my favorite Warframes. The Voldan Prime is a tactician and has the abilities to manipulate space and is known for creating traps. For example, Tesla, his first ability, creates a grenade that sticks to enemies and zaps them over time. However, I can also stick it to allies and have them walk around. This allows me to zap enemies all around, or all around my ally. Mine Layer is an interesting one. Mine Layer allows me to cycle through 4 deployable traps. That means I can use a bounce trap, which can launch enemies up into the air, or I can use it to get an extra boost. Trip Laser, which trips enemies. Shred, which severely damages enemies because it causes slash damage. Which Cuss. Now the slash damage is a debuff, and it also reduces armor. And then Concuss, as I said before, can cause enemies to go deaf. Bastille is the bread and butter of Vauban. It creates a containment field, like a zero gravity field, which literally puts enemies in a suspended stasis all around me. This allows me to shoot them easier without them shooting back, and enemies coming in most likely will be trapped as well. However, it can only affect 15 enemies at once. This I boosted with a mod. Then his ultimate ability, Vortex. This creates a whirlwind of energy. In other words, a black hole. It violently attracts nearby enemies, and once the enemies are through, they're basically torn to shit. It has a 6-meter radius. But if I were to, let's say, upgrade this with a mod, the radius would be increased. And if enemies drop stuff while they're being destroyed by Vortex, the Vortex would drop whatever it is after it's finished. So, let's get into a mission. I am sorry for everyone for talking. Just skip to this part of the video. Over here, I will put a comment towards the beginning of the video. Just already know the game and we just want to skip the actual shit. So, hold on. Also, favorite Warframe overall is Harrow here. It's my favorite. So, mission. Here. Let's do this. Infestation. What to do for infestation? Do right. Great features. Let's get more. That depends. Let's go see what. Meso relics. on everyone's patience. I'm just seeing which ones I'm gonna get right now. Well, guess we'll get Valkyrie Prime before she's out. But that depends on if I have her beat this. And what I mean by out is that eventually a Warframe just disappears. Like it will no longer appear. Pass it. Yes, I did. I'm neuroptics. Yeah, all I'm missing is the damn systems. I really want an Ash. Valkyrie, Mirage, neuroptics, system, and chassis is what I need to get her. Saturn. I have everything except the chassis. Saturn Prime. No, Saturn Spyro. Cybarus, Valkyrie. Alright, so I need her chassis and her systems. So, which ones contain this? Valkyrie. Huh, that's weird. Here. Where? Oh, yeah. They're easy. A lift V3 relic. So, let's go do this. What lift missions do we get? Bum, 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 bum. Oh, simple. Spy and rescue. Let's see. A simple rescue mission would do. A lift V2. I'm just gonna wait for some players. The reason I wait is because you get a much better reward when you do this with more people. Like a much better reward. I'm gonna try this again. Public. Spot. There we go. Sorry about that. I didn't make sure this was a private party, so nobody would hear me. Forgive me. I'm texting. There we go. Now, to do how this works for a void fissure is you need to collect reactants. You'll know what they look like. They have a yeah, this. Once you collect 10 of them, like I'm about to do right now, the relic is open. However, you won't know what's in it until you finish the mission.
To find out what's inside.
Yeah, I'm talking here. So, Oh, I forgot to unequip my glaive. Oh shit. Is it 30? Yes, it is. Well, gonna have to do that when I come back. So, this is a rescue mission. For those who don't know, or those who just need a refresher, a rescue mission involves you having to rescue a hostage. Looking at this area, it's very likely the Grenier.
You are approaching the holding
However,
area. Careful. If the Guardians detect you, they will surely
it's the Grenier.
initiate the execution sequence.
But the problem is that this during a Void Fissure mission, the enemies are the Corrupted, a fourth faction. The Corrupted is basically the other three factions, but if they were corrupted by Orokin technology, they become these phantom-like entities. Not exactly the best things to be near. A fifth faction eventually was released later, known as the Sentients. They're a lot like the Machine Corpus. However, these things are like more powerful. Okay, yeah, it's very hard to explain the Sentients. I don't want to spoil it too much, but just know that there's more than one faction.
This is the jail. Our hostage is in one of these cells.
I'm in your debt, Tenno. Let's go home.
Alright, once we rescue the hostage, we have to extract, basically.
I'll take care of the rest.
Normally, you would have to protect the hostage, but if you're quick enough and give your hostage a weapon so they can protect themselves, if you're quick enough, you can extract without having to like just protect them from everything that comes by. So, extraction should be near. Okay, I'm about to say nearby, but it's not. There we go. I gave him my pistol. Just gonna terrify the shit out of them first. Looks like my buddy already reached the extraction point. Once everyone is extracted, or once time passes already, there's at least 2 people on the objective. If there's 4 people, there will be an extraction timer. This will force everyone to extract. But once everyone's here, you'll see what is inside the relic. If you once you see, then you don't have to choose your relic. If you get something bad and somebody gets something really good, you can actually choose to get their relic. This means that person gets more void traces. Void traces are used to upgrade a relic to Radiant, which is useful. These are, yep, two primes, a Limbo Prime and a Trinity Prime. This is actually really nice to show. A Trinity Prime is probably is a very rare prime because she's vaulted right now. Alright. I already have a Cernos Prime blueprint. Actually, yeah, I'll get another blueprint. Because even if you get a duplicate blueprint, people are actually looking for primes. This is actually how I got most of my primes, especially a Necros Prime. Necros Prime I got because I bought it off someone else using Platinum. Platinum is often used just for obtaining, not just for like buying premium shit, but also getting primes as well from other people. You can use Platinum, like a lot of Platinum, just to buy like a bundle for a prime, or you can save on that and buy it from someone else, buy a prime from someone else. The thing is, to make a living off making primes, you gotta have a lot of relics, because certain primes are only in certain relics, and some relics are vaulted, and you won't be able to get them from that relic. And I don't know if I explained it, but when you vault a prime or a relic, it means it cannot be attained again, which isn't good. However, sometimes they'll pull a Warframe out of the vault. There was one relic that I was so excited to get, but I couldn't get it. Alright. I'm risking this. I'm risking using up my Vauban Systems Relic. Vauban Prime currently is actually a vaulted Warframe. You can't get him anymore. That means my current Vauban is very rare. There's another Warframe who's also rare, Seiran Prime. I was around when Seiran Prime got vaulted, and everyone, there was a huge rush for Seiran Prime for people to obtain. Seiran Prime was vaulted alongside Nikana Prime, a weapon. Nikana Prime is a katana, if you want to put it that way. Probably the best katana in the game. There is Nikana, Dragon Nikana, and Nikana Prime. Got a full party. Ugh. I'm so glad today is one of those days I get. Bye bye. Oh crap! It's a mobile defense.
Let me in and get ready to defend.
Oh come on.
I
Mobile
need
defense
Taro.
missions are annoying for a
This
good
will take
reason. You have to defend a point, certain point. Now, they're annoying if you don't have the proper warframes and weapons. But luckily,
Use that
this is one of
reactor
those.
to open a relic.
Luckily, it's one of those. We have a Limbo Prime, so this is his ultimate ability. This casts every enemy into the void. Now, what that means is time slows
Still
down
quiet. Continue to defend.
to the point of standing still.
Keep
Hell,
fighting.
when I shoot my
Look
weapon,
more reactive.
nothing happens until when the void runs out. The moment the void shrinks, yes, it's shrinking. The weapon flies out. This is what one of my grenades looks like. Watch what happens when it comes out. Huh. I guess it's stuck like that until I... Yeah, detonated.
Area completed.
There. Now I can grab
This will only get more difficult.
my
To a
void
terminal
traces.
and prepare for enemy resistance.
Maybe that was one terminal. We got two more.
Location reached. Drop me in and defend position.
I gotta hurry up and get back.
Tenno. This will take a moment. Walkers in.
I have 5 traces. I need 10. Another one of
Still
them.
working on it. Continue to defend.
Alright, where?
Terminal hacked. Keep moving.
I should consider getting Limbo. In a little bit, I might as well look on how to get Limbo. Because Limbo is an interesting warframe, and I'm thinking about updating his prime variant. My brother keeps suggesting getting Limbo. I tell him he's lazy. The reason I say this is because Limbo's natural passive ability, every time he warps, For example, when you do a roll, a barrel roll, okay, whatever you call that, I don't know if it's a barrel roll, somersault, whatever. Anyway, whatever you do a roll, this will allow him to, in a way, teleport into another dimension. This means that he cannot be harmed in any way, and for him, this lasts forever, indefinite until the mission's complete. This makes it so that he never takes any damage for the entire mission, which is annoying and pretty much means you're being lazy.
The relic. Finish your mission and we'll take it inside. Still working on it. Continue to defend.
Oh yeah, that's right. I can't throw my glaive because I'm stuck in limbo. Literally.
The odds were against us, Tenno.
Alright, now that the mission's complete and we have all the traces, we can extract. Hopefully we find something. Ooh, that's nice. These are Iatan stars. When you can find these things called relics, not relics, not those, Iatan treasures, actually. I'm an idiot. I call them relics for some reason. Anyway, when you find these, you can sell them to get Endo. Endo is what you use to upgrade mods. Now, Iatan treasures actually increase in value when you insert Iatan stars in them. Now, Cyan stars are the most common. Orthos, Breton, Paris, Prime. Do I need 2 of these? Yeah, I'll get this. Yeah, Iatan stars will increase it.
Another job well executed.
Oh, my nose does not feel right. I think it's the air. I gotta turn on the AC. That also means that, unfortunately, this is the end of the video. I wish I could. I took up so much of the video just talking. Next time I'm talk much. But in the next video, since I have an introduction, most of the gameplay into playing this game in general. So hopefully I can show you more. But Steam, Xbox, cross platform, because I have a friend playing Warframe more than I do, and I wish I could play with them right now. I can't unless I want to restart all my data on an Xbox One. I mean, I still keep this file, but I'll have to start fresh on an Xbox One, unless they eventually make it cross-compatible. But anyways, thanks everybody. Subscribe to my channel if you feel like it. I don't really care. And thanks. So, bye-bye, and check me out later.